Hey, what's going on there, folks? Welcome back here to another update. It is the Earthmaster here on this Thursday. We got Friday right around the corner tomorrow, February 15th, 2024, 11:51 a.m. here. California time, by the way. Member drawing is going to be held today for the members here. We'll do it about 3:30 p.m. here, California time, between 3:30 and 4 p.m. here, West Coast time. So look for that member drawing coming up. All right, checking out space weather activity here. Starting to get a little bit more active from our active region here, 3576, producing a little bit of flaring going on here. Looks like we did reach here into the M flare category. That is coming off of the active region here, now off on the southwest limb. That's going to be 3576, the culprit of, some recent M flare activity once it was over here, directed at the Earth. But now it looks like it's going through a re-strengthening phase here. A lot of complexity going on within that center core. So that's telling us right there that this thing could be producing some larger flares here soon once again. But with the position of the sunspot, it is way out there on the southwestern limb and will not be geo-effective should anything blast off from that area. Looking at the rest of the sunspots out here show fairly minimal conditions with the rest of the Earth-facing sunspots. We're still seeing a little proton event here. This is about day number 8 or so of elevated radiation up here across the polar regions. Been looking at this for a little while here. Looks like it's died down slightly though, but we've seen some quite elevated proton events here recently. Now it looks like we were into the S1, S2 radiation storm over the past 7 days. It looks like we've just dipped down below that threshold. And again, this was kind of interesting because it lasted for so long here. I know we've had a few M flares and whatnot, Earth-facing side and on the far side of the sun as well, but this seemed like it lasted a lot longer than normal. Far as the effects here in terms of the solar flare activity or solar proton event, S2 is a moderate storm. Basically, passengers and crew in high-flying aircraft at high latitudes may be exposed to elevated radiation risk. And that's actually quite common. There could be some satellite issues as well. Again, that was mostly affecting the polar regions there of the proton event. When we do get some large flare activity directly facing the Earth, this will light up on the sunlit side of the Earth and produce these radiation storms as well. But for now, that activity is limited to the polar regions, and it has been down there across the southern edge mostly of the Earth. All right, what else we got here? No major auroras in the forecast. We haven't really had any massive CMEs Earth-directed. So we'll continue to watch here. I don't think we're going to see anything anytime soon, though, because the sun's starting to look a little on the blank side out here across the eastern half of the sun. All right, earthquake activity here over the last 24 hours. Looking at the latest USGS map here. We haven't really seen too much large activity here today. In fact, the last one, at least a 4.9, is this morning. It looks like about 10 o'clock my time here up along the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench. 59 kilometers deep. Looks like there's a little bit of swarming going on here from yesterday and that one today, so we'll continue to watch this. The Kuril-Kamchatka Trench is a major subduction zone here that sits up north of Japan. You can see the extended area right here. Well, this is about the Japan Trench where the hand is, but this area right here, the Kuril-Kamchatka, is a major subduction zone with a high accumulated slip rate on average of at least 83 mm per year, so it doesn't take hundreds of years for earthquake activity, at least enough strain to build up for a large earthquake. And it's been a little while since we've seen a large megaquake out here on this area of the plate boundary. Down in Japan, yes, 2011, but this is a separate area up here that's been accumulating strain for quite a while. So we'll continue to watch this area for some potential larger movement. It's definitely been showing some activity in the deeper regions, and also these little periods of earthquake activity up north and the south end here. All right, West Coast activity here. See what we got over the last 24 hours. Of course, last night did see some further movement here in the Gulf of California with a 5.1, and then prior to that, 3.8 down here. So a little bit of activity stirring up out here late last night. A look at the region here today, though, does not show a whole lot of newer activity. In fact, that swarming region that was happening down here looks like it's getting a little scattered and a little bit less active here. I did look at some of these seismograph stations down here across Southern California, just making sure we're getting the correct data. And as you look at just even one station out here, things are fairly quiet in terms of earthquake activity. I'm not seeing a whole lot out there for now. But we'll continue to keep an eye on California as it has been quite active here recently. Some small movement up here across Mount Rainier. Got about five or four earthquakes here late last night, one early this morning as well. These are fairly deep. I believe that's associated with just the strain out here across the subduction zone. Some of these crustal quakes there across the Cascade Mountains pop up from time to time. But we'll continue to watch that. Aside from that, not a whole lot else out here across the West Coast. The Yellowstone area, fairly quiet. Just double check that, make sure. Look at the seismograph stations here on an overview of Yellowstone. Pretty cool site called isthisthingon.org. This gives a general layout of the Yellowstone caldera in the black line, Yellowstone Lake there in the blue, and of course the seismograph stations and their respected locations out here across the park. Not a whole lot of earthquake activity out here for now, which is a good thing, right? Yellowstone National Park can continue to sleep. It is a super volcano, so we don't want to wake that up. The rest of the area out here, what do we got across the New Madrid seismic? Well, this is east of the New Madrid zone. Over here against the Appalachian Mountains, a 2.3. Stevenson, Alabama, a little 2.3 earlier this morning. Aside from that, general small earthquake activity out there across some of those oil fields of Oklahoma and Texas. Further over here across this area, looks like we did see another deep earthquake into the area of the Fiji region. This is into the Tonga Trench, another area that sees quite a bit of activity. On average here, this zone sees about 240 mm accumulation rate per year, and that is by far, I think, one of the most active areas in terms of earthquake activity and general accumulated slip rate. That's quite high for that area. So common earthquake activity out here is very common. Doesn't take years at all to build up enough strain to see some 6s and 7s and larger out here. But for now, deeper activity in the subduction zone for the 4.8 New Zealand area. Not a whole lot going on there today. This earthquake from last night. Been watching it here closely, but it looks like things may be dying off out here. I just checked out the seismograph stations there across New Zealand and their respected station or location stations there in the red circle. Not a whole lot going on out here today. Things look very quiet. And if anyone's questioning this activity, it looks like some type of outside interference there across the region. Doesn't look like it's earthquake activity. Right, moving on here, out and about, Southeast Indian Ocean. Late last night, 5-pointer coming in here. The rest of the globe, or the flat scale model Earth here, well, not a whole lot of newer activity. It's kind of a slow start to the day, it looks like. There is some newer activity, it looks like, stirring up here south of the California region. The EMSC reporting this data with some 3s and 4s stirring up down here, roughly within this zone right here. Now, this is from last night, 3.8, but it does look like some more activity is being reported by the EMSC here on the globe. Again, that's south of the area of California, just, roughly right around here along the plate boundary. So we still got to watch California, even though it's fairly quiet for right now. We're still seeing some elevated activity here across this plate boundary. Backing out. South America area here, fairly quiet. A handful of smaller quakes there from yesterday. Looks like we do have a 4.7 stirring up here into the Colombia area. 4.7, 40 kilometers deep. Puerto Rico Trench area, fairly quiet. Not a whole lot of activity out here for now. All right, Hawaii. Well, scattered out and about. Some earthquakes here around the vicinity. Even one earthquake here across the Loihi Seamount. 2.7 coming in about 10 kilometers deep. Got to watch that because we have been noticing a pretty decent swarm of activity here. stretching off towards this area. If we bring in the all magnitudes here, aside from this swarming area, this is very typical here. If we were to erase this and ignore this blob of earthquakes, we could see the trail of magma out to this area. Now, magma got displaced there from the summit region off to the southwest rift zone. Tilt meter showed that it was elevated here for a little bit, and then it disappeared. All that magma is traveling out here through the system, and it's all kind of pointing out here towards the Loihi Seamount. So a little uncertain onto exactly what we're going to see out here. But for now, we had a huge displacement of magma move off into this area. And the question is, what's next? Definitely got to watch it, as potentially we could see some eruptive activity out there. Let's see what we got here for the latest activity on the Kilauea volcano from the usgs.gov site that monitors the volcano activity, ground deformation, and whatnot here across the area. A look at the Kilauea volcano. Notice a lot of earthquake activity missing here because it's been somewhat quiet. So let's see what we got for some seismograph stations out here. It does look fairly quiet. I'm opening it up in a new tab because, well, even that one doesn't. Look at that. Blocked. Oh, there we go. Now it's working. I was having some issues last night with that, clicking on these websites, this website images, and it would just not show it. So it looks like they're still having some, or were having issues last night. Hopefully it's fixed. It looks good now. Okay, but as far as earthquake activity, as you can see, not a whole lot here across the Kilauea volcano. That is a good sign for now. As far as tilt meter goes, that's the thing that monitors, or instrument that monitors ground deformation in the area. This is the summit tilt meter. As you can see, going back down here, we're really not up or elevated anywhere near what we were prior to all that displacement of 9 million cubic meters of magma. So, you know, obviously that has moved off to the southwest rift zone, and we're just kind of watching these little inflation events come up here. But, you know, there was a lot of deflation here. A lot of displacement of magma from the summit off to the area here. And, you know, that does have a little concern in respect to the hill in the slump area, right? There's a lot that could take place out here. A lot of people thinking that this may produce a huge landslide into the Pacific that would ultimately create a mega tsunami. And here's a little interesting article here from the wikipedia.org site about the potential out here. Now, sharp cliffs and associated ocean debris at these volcanoes right here indicate that landslides from the flank of Kilauea and Mauna Loa volcanoes in Hawaii may have triggered past mega tsunamis up here, most recently at about 120,000 before present time. A tsunami event is also possible, with the tsunami potentially reaching up to about 1 kilometer. Goodness. That is a huge tsunami, 3,300 feet in height. Now, this was a documentary from the National Geographic's Ultimate Disaster Tsunami. If a big landslide occurred at Mauna Loa or the hill in the slump, a 30-meter tsunami would take only about 30 minutes to reach Honolulu. There's other research that suggests that such a single large landslide is not likely. Instead, it would collapse as a series of smaller landslides. Either way, you know, it's got that possibility here of seeing some collapses, and with that magma being displaced down there and heading off in that region, it's possible it could put further strain out here in this area against the hill in the slump, and we could see the potential collapse of that here in the future. We'll just continue to watch that and see how this plays out. All right, folks, what else we got here? Alaska, really nothing to write home about there, just some typical movement. This is from last night, the 4.7, fairly deep earthquake. Doesn't look like we've seen any adjustment going on following that deep activity for now. Let's see what else we got here. Anything major going on in the severe weather department? Doesn't look like it. California getting geared up here. By the way, Tropical Tidbits is back online. I do like to I use this site a lot here. They got many different options here to look at the different weather models in terms of forecasting out here, and it's a great site. It's free, and it's got some pretty neat options here. There's numerous sites that you can use for weather models, but I prefer the tropicaltidbits.com site. All right, so our storm system here that's coming up next, knocking on our doors. We head towards the weekend here for California. Going to get some decent precipitation from the first storm, but it's a second storm behind that really ramps up the rainfall accumulation rates out here. Look at that. This looks very similar to our last flooding storm here earlier this month. So that's quite a bit of rainfall accumulation here across Northern California. Southern California is going to get in on that as well as we head into early next week. That low pressure system is just going to spin offshore there and funnel in moisture. Looks like there may be another storm system behind that as well. So we are entering into a very wet pattern there across the west coast. As far as the accumulated precipitation, man, check this out. There is a lot of moisture out here for the California area. Look at that. Talking about maybe areas up here where I'm at, around Chico area, maybe that shows about 6 inches of rainfall from all these storm systems. That's a lot. A little bit more than what we had seen here with our last flooding event. So there's a little concern with flooding, obviously. The ground is still very wet. I picked up a quarter of an inch of rain yesterday. I was looking on my weather station here just outside of Chico. And just even from that quarter of an inch of rain, started to see a lot of surface flooding going on. So dump another 60 inches. Yeah. Dump another 6 inches here on this ground. We're going to have some major flooding issues. Even if it's just 5 inches or 4 inches, I think we're still going to see some issues going on with flooding. So that is a look at the total accumulated precipitation. And it looks like it's gearing up to stay quite wet here in California. So, yeah, I'll take it. No complaints here on this end. Just got to be prepared, right? Like anything else in life for disasters, whether it's weather or man-made. Got to make sure you have a plan. And I do have a plan. I am prepared for outages and whatnot if it does take place. All right, what else we got? I think that's it here, folks. Gonna do the member drawing coming up here at 3:30 California time, right? 3:30 p.m. California time here. We'll do the member drawing live. And by the way, a real quick shout out here to our members. I know I haven't done it in a little while, but I do like to recognize our long-term members out here and the new ones. So far, Jay Fuentes 347 are right up there at the top of the list. 20 months strong here as a member. Rob 52, same. Robert Kozowski, Albert Sanchez Jr., 4 of our top members out here that have been very consistent on being a member. Ray Addington, Pamela Conley, Hope and Feathers, Maria Park, Joel Kozowski, still a lot of long-term members out here. Debash Mode, Alicia Stanford, Nancy Kozowski, Betty Kelly, Purple Bullet, Catherine Ports Peace, Hurricane Heather, Joycelyn Burzik, Mike Moses, Clayton, Juno James, Janice Seiler, Timothy, yep, Laura Bonnet, Craig England, Helen Horn, someone, not for sure who, but I know who that is because, well, I don't know who it is personally, but when you click on their site there, it shows you their YouTube channel name. Lucy Maker, Linda L., Ellen Gressick, Elizabeth Warman, Jeannie Baker, Amanda Little, Harlita Javica, The Dot Hacker, Genevri Freeland, MST Pear, Bitter Harvest, Angela Willock, Robert H., KT, Patrick Jones, Rick, K. Clark, Greg Bennett, I Am Valentina, ADHD Established 19, I can't remember the rest of that though. Trish M., Sharni T., Beth Moiser, hopefully I pronounced that correctly. If I didn't, I apologize. Ruthie Mays, Donna, Fleaboard Warrior, Tony Miller, not for sure the correct pronunciation on that. Big Island, Kasumi Rose, Amy, Engelbart Lentz, hopefully I pronounced that correctly, and Marcia Himes, or Himes, I'm not for sure how to pronounce that, but welcome aboard. A couple new members down here, so welcome. All these folks here are going to be entered into the member drawing board today, so 58, that's about the same as what we had last month. That's a decent chance of winning some prizes out here today. 1 in 58 So if you're not on board, jump on board here. Again, 3:30 this afternoon, California time. We'll be picking out a winner here live on the channel. That way everyone can see for themselves. And, yeah, we'll give away some prizes. So catch you guys back out here about 3:30 California time. Till then, have a good day and stay safe out there.